welcome back to another video. Yep, looking good. Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm talking about the GFX 100 RF in silver, which I have to just say I'm super excited about because I've got a new camera, and also because it's silver, because that is the color of my choice. I had the X106 in black, I didn't like it. I swapped it out for the X106 in silver. I loved it, and I've got one of these. Anyway, I'm not trying to show off, I'm just trying to talk about gear here. Super excited about this because it's a great camera, and because I actually got it for £400 off retail price. Park Cameras here in the UK had it for $42.99 open box, and when I got it, it's like zero shutter count. Somebody's opened it, looked at it, decided they don't want it, sent it back. I saw it, and the next day it was here. So very, very excited to talk about the GFX 100 RF. Now, I know that a lot of the bigger channels probably have already spoken about this camera, and they've talked about the f4, and they've talked about the fact that there is no IBIS in here, and who's this camera for, and it's a bit of a gimmick. And a lot of people have also talked about how great it is because it's medium format, it's 102 megapixels. So I wanted to address that, but before I do that, let's roll that intro. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the fact that this camera is very, very compact. And that's really important for us to understand because Fujifilm have created a very compact medium format camera. Okay, let me just exemplify that for you. You have the XT5 and you have the RF 100 or the 100 RF. Look at the difference in size, it's negligible. Okay, so this is APS-C and this is medium format. Forget full frame. You're going from APS-C to medium format in very, very similar sizes. So that should give you an idea about what Fujifilm were thinking when they created a camera like this. Okay, so that's really, really key. It's a small, lightweight camera. Look at the size of the lens. It is tiny. And I know that it's f4, but it's tiny and it's really compact. The Leica Q3 probably comes out to about here, which makes it a little bit more front heavy. This is really, obviously it's in the name rangefinder. I know that it doesn't have the actual rangefinder system, but it's that rangefinder style where you're holding it up and photographing like this. And that's what makes this camera so amazing to have with you out and about on the street, because it's very, very similar size to the XT5, the X106, the X-Pro 3, but you're getting 102 megapixels of medium format loving from this camera. Now, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, I know, but it doesn't have IBIS. Well, let's just have a think about this for a minute. I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to bring it up right here. If you see this sign here, that little mark there, that tells you where the sensor is inside the camera, right? So the sensor at the moment is further back. Okay, it's closer to the back panel compared to the front of the camera. Okay, now let me just show you that with the GFX 102, right? And there's the same mark there. I know you can't see it, but it's just there. And as you can see, the sensor is much closer to the front of the camera compared to the back of the camera. So the sensor is much closer to the front, and that makes sense because the lens is mounted here, right? But with the GFX 100 RF, the sensor is much further back. So what does that mean? Well, that means that the optics of this lens actually are not just in the lens, but they're actually built into the body. So the lens elements are coming up to about here, and that's the only way Fujifilm have been able to make this lens fit onto this camera. It's obviously not interchangeable, it's fixed in. And that's the only reason why it's so small. It's because half of the optics are inside the body. So even if you wanted to have this lens on the GFX 100, you can't, because it would stick out much further. And that is what makes this camera so good, because it's so compact. So when we talk about compact, it really is right at the top of Fujifilm's thinking. The lens is so small, you can't get this lens on the GFX 102. It'd be much bigger. It's much smaller than the Leica Q3. It's medium format and it's 102 megapixels. And those features are really, really key and really, really important. And we need to think about them more than IBIS and more than f4. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to be shooting this in low light outside doing nighttime street photography because you're just not going to do it, because it's f4 and there's no IBIS and you're going to get really noisy shots. So forget that. It's not for those people. If you're that person, you might as well just skip to the next video. However, if you are a daytime shooter like I am, I like to do street or walk around photography, nature, landscape and that kind of stuff. This is a brilliant lens and a brilliant camera combo. And I'll tell you why, because I always stop my camera or my lenses down to like f8. So I get a lot of depth, and I don't typically crop in any further than, or I don't ever zoom in, let's say, any further than about 35 millimeters or 50 millimeters. I don't like to do any street like at 80 or 75 millimeters. It doesn't work. I don't like it. I like to have a nice field of view. And 28 millimeters is brilliant, by the way, if you're a photojournalist, if you're out and about capturing rallies and protests and public events like that. You want the documentary style lens. You want that documentary field of view. If you don't like that and you think it's too wide, then crop into 35 millimeters on full frame and you're getting 60 megapixels, actually 66 megapixels, so roughly around that. That is still more than the Leica Q3. And if you want to go to 50 millimeters, you get 30 megapixel images out of it. And 30 megapixels is great. So let's just check. 28 millimeters, 102 megapixel images, 35 millimeters, 66 megapixel images, right, which is more than the Leica Q3. If you go to 50 millimeters, you're getting 31 megapixel images, which is very similar to the Sony A7C2 or the A7 IV, okay? So that's a lot of image quality there, and don't worry about the fact that you are cropping and you're losing image quality, because remember, you're starting off at 102 megapixels, and that's the beauty of this camera. Now, when I'm out and about, 35 millimeters at f8, I don't care about depth or field, because actually I want everything in my frame. And when you're doing that type of photography, you don't care about shallow depth of field, because you don't want things out of focus. You want everything in focus. You're documenting what's going on. And so this is a great camera for that niche of people. And that's the thing, right? A lot of people are looking at this thinking this is not for me, and probably it's not for you. If you're an outdoor documentary shooter, this is for you. And it's great because you get a few focal lengths in a lot of megapixels, a lightweight camera, and it really is quite fantastic. Now, the no IBIS means that you get, obviously, you know that it's got the bigger battery in it, and that means that you're getting around 800 shots. On a mirrorless medium format camera, you're getting 800 shots. Come on, that's fantastic. My X-T5 gives me about 700, and I think my Canon R5 didn't give me anything more than like 450. So this makes this a walk around camera for 1, 2, 3 days, and the battery's not going to go anywhere. This is going to be a great little setup if you're out and about visiting different countries, different cities, and you're shooting during the day. Now, the other thing that you need to be absolutely clear about if you're new to medium format, because you may have heard people talk about the medium format look, right? And let me just explain what that is. The medium format look, I'm going to put an image up now. This is the GFX 102 with that 50 lens. The medium format look is when you have a wide field of view, like 35 millimeters, 40 millimeters, quite wide, right? And you're getting a ridiculous amount of shallow depth of field. And that's what you can see in this image. You can see that the bride's hands are now in focus, but you can see that her face is not that far back. It's not out, you know, it's not a long way away from her hands, but she's really nicely blurred out. And it's quite a wide image. Now, on full frame, you have to have like an 85 millimeter lens to give you that kind of soft, you know, out of focus background. But you're getting that on full frame, and that's the medium format look. Here's another picture I'm putting up with my car, and you can see the back of the car is clearly nice and sharp, and the rest of it is completely kind of falls away so nicely, and the fall off is so great. And that's the medium format look. Now you're thinking, well, this is a medium format camera, so I should be getting a medium format look. Well, no, you are not going to get that because this is an f4 lens. It's not going to give you that shallow depth of field. The only time it will give you a shallow depth of field is if you use the minimum focus distance, which I think is around 20 centimeters. So if you hold this up really close, I can't take an image now because there's too much light coming in and it's quite dark. But if you hold it up really close, you can then obviously separate that background from your subject and you can get that look out of it. But obviously then you're right up in your subject's face, right at 20 centimeters, and that's probably not ideal. Depends on what you're photographing, of course. So you're not going to get the medium format look out of this camera, okay? It's not going to give you that. So if that's what you're coming for, then look elsewhere. Get the GFX 50R and get the Miticon 65 f1.4 incredible lens. That's what I used to photograph the BMW. So anyway, incredible camera, very, very lightweight, very compact, amazing to have around your shoulder, amazing to just shoot with it. It's not the same as one of these. I'm not going to pick it up, it's too heavy. It's not the same as the GFX 102, even though it's got the same sensor, same image quality. The fact that it's interchangeable, you can put different lenses on there and you can be really, really creative. But if you just want to walk around the streets capturing photos, you can do it. And by the way, there is something else before I end this video. There's something else I want to talk about. This setup, right? So I'm going to take a photo up here. I'll show this to you. I'll put this on the screen and listen to the sound of the shutter, right? So my mic's here, listen to this. I don't know if you heard that, that's lens focusing, so ignore that. Okay, so when I'm using this camera, I'm kind of waiting for this to happen. And now I'm taking another one. And now I'm going to take another one. Right, you can shoot like burst on this, but it's like it's a bit of a slow process, right? It's like starting up a Mercedes-Benz 500 SL. You're kind of waiting for it to kind of come to life because it's such a big beast of a car, and it's a bit like that here as well because it's such a beast of a camera. When you take in that image, you can hear the shutter, and it's not that well dampened compared to like an X-T5 or a full frame camera. But check this out. This is where I think Fujifilm have really kind of outdone themselves. Look at this. First of all, this is a DC motor, right? The same as the X106, but check this out. I'm going to turn the camera on. So let's get focusing. I'm going to put this next to here. That's pretty quick to focus. Yeah, it's focusing pretty quick. And watch, listen to this. I took the photo. Took another photo. So holding it up, focusing, taking a photo. It's so easy. It feels like you're using a pocket camera, like with just click and image is taken. It's not like a clunk that's coming out of the GFX 100. And so that on a medium format camera is also just unheard of. It feels like using the electronic shutter. You're not. And of course, the reason for that is because it's got a leaf shutter in there, which means that you could pair it with a flash. And what I would use is, hang on here. I'll probably end up using one of these, a trigger, put it on the top and use it to fire off a flash that's mounted somewhere in the room. If I'm at a wedding, I could easily be shooting with this at a wedding because I can set my shutter speed to f1/200th of a second. I can go to 1/2000s, by the way, because it's the leaf shutter, and the leaf shutter syncs with a high-speed flash really easily. So I could probably go to 1/200th of a second and not worry about motion blur because 1/200th is okay at 28mm and be capturing photos and let the flash fire off, and I can use it for weddings. And I can use it for weddings because this camera does have, if I can get the door open, dual SD card slots. Obviously the camera's a bit taller, it's got a taller sensor in it, so they've managed to put in an extra card slot. So this camera is going to be added to my wedding photography selection of cameras, and that is basically my GFX 102, and then this is going to be my second body. I've got an XH2 and the XT5, but if I'm going to keep this, I might have to sell them. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But look, I didn't want to talk about this forever. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an honest impression as to why I think this is a great camera and who I think it's for. It's polarizing because a lot of people are like, yeah, but low light and f1.2 and medium format look, it's not there. I don't want it. Fine. Get the 50R with the Miticon, like I said earlier on. But if you're outdoor, street, photojournalist, documentary, travel photographer, this is definitely something that you really need to be considering. It's an excellent, excellent camera. I love it. I'm keeping it. And I will be producing another video talking about the images that I've captured with this. And by the way, I love the dial at the front. I love how you can go through your different teleconverter, go from like, the different focal lengths. But I don't like this dial at the back. And let me just be clear about that. I don't have an issue with aspect ratio. I have an issue with the implementation of this dial. I don't know why it spins like this. Every other dial is so much intuitive to use, right? And by the way, these dials are dampened so well. Everyone's been talking about how these exposure compensation dials kind of easily get knocked. Not this one. This is beautiful. The way it just spins around, and it's so well dampened. Even the back one. See if I can. It's just incredible. I just love the way this camera has been engineered. Fujifilm have put a lot of thought into build quality. It really is built much better than the X100. That's a bit plasticky, but this is really, really well built. Yeah, so before I kind of end this video, if I show you my GFX 100, there's a button at the front. I don't know if you can see that. It's just there. And if I was to press that button, let me see if I can get this. If I was to press that button, what do you see there? Aspect ratio. Look how quickly I can go through aspect ratio on this. I appreciate aspect ratio. I love shooting in different aspect ratio. And having aspect ratio so easily accessible means that you can shoot intentional. So if I go into the X-Pan, where is it? Right, if I go into X-Pan, there's X-Pan. Right, and now I'm composing for X-Pan, so it's really important. And I think it's amazing that Fujifilm are inspiring their photographers to be thinking about aspect ratios, because it makes you a better photographer. If you can compose your image in a variety of different aspect ratios, you're going to get some incredible images. And by putting that dial there, I know that Fujifilm are inspiring their photographers to become better and to think about aspect ratio. I just don't like the way it's been implemented. I don't know why it's spinning like that. I feel like I'm going to put too much force, and with gravity, it's eventually going to like wear at the bottom or something. I don't know, maybe I'm just being a bit anal, but I don't like it. And actually what I've done is I've put it on to C, and I'm probably going to map this button here or this dial here to kind of help me cycle through the different aspect ratios. So great idea, but it just looks a bit crap, to be honest. I don't like it. It feels like there's a button in the middle, but I should be pressing that, but I don't know. You tell me. Leave something in the comments and explain what you're thinking about this, because I don't like it. The other thing, definitely before I cut this video, is look at how thin that screen is. Right, this is the same as the X106, and when you put it back in, it is flush, right? And none of the other GFX cameras do that. I'm not picking that camera up and showing you again. It's a big bulky kind of body at the back which houses the screen. This is so lightweight. Anyway, I'm a fan of this camera. I think it's absolutely great. If you resonate with me, then I recommend that this should be your next medium format upgrade. Or if you are moving into medium format and you're looking at image quality and you're a street photographer, 100% recommend it. If you are a low light shooter, then go somewhere else. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I want to know what you think. Have you bought one of these? Have you managed to bag a bargain like I did at £400 off retail? Let's hang out in the comment section below. And yeah, I will see you next time when I've captured some images with this camera. Peace.